So I'd like to share with you a short video on more about what a PACE actually is. All right. And if you guys had a problem hearing that, that's okay. The audio really wasn't that important as much as the actual presentation itself. I wanted to show you exactly what I mean by the character traits. It has at the bottom here of one page, we can be confident, and it gives spiritual inspiration with the character trait of confidence. And these are all throughout the PACEs. The left picture, the picture on the left shows a learning center with students, with younger students at each station. And each station is called an office, and the students are encouraged to keep their own offices organized. You can see in the student offices, they have on the bottom center, they have a clock to keep track of time, and they have on the top right, they have an achievement card with stickers, and on the left center, you see they have the well, it's kind of hard to see, but they have a daily goal chart, and they are required to set their own daily goals starting as early as first level. They're required to start to set their own daily goals. Say, I'm going to finish this much of my PACE booklet in this subject, and then I'm going to have this amount of time for physical education or recess, and then I'm going to have this amount of time for these games. And so the supervisor, they're not called teachers, they're called supervisors. The supervisors are responsible for ensuring that the students learn how to manage their time and expectations even in the first level. By the first level, they're expected to be able to do 25 minutes of seat work at a time without taking breaks for physical education, recess, or story activities or other physical activities. So 25-minute chunks at a time by first level. By 12th level, they're expected to be able to do much more chunks of seat work. So this is an illustration of a typical learning center. Rather than the students being in one side of the classroom, all facing the same way towards the teacher or towards a chalkboard or whiteboard, The students are facing out, and this is to avoid distraction. They have no reason to face inward or towards the supervisor, because the supervisor is there as a facilitator. When the student has finished his or her seat work for that allotted amount of time, 25 minutes to 50 minutes, depending on their level of individual responsibility and their ability to stay seated and maturity. Once they finish their specific seat work, they go up to the center of the room and they stand up at a scoring station. And you see that you have one student, one female student at one scoring station, and you see another male student at another scoring station. And these scoring stations are where the students check their own work. And they're responsible for marking their own work as correct or incorrect, and then going back to their seat and correcting their mistakes, and then returning to the scoring station to check again. The supervisor monitors this whole process so that the students are not taking advantage of the process, but that they're actually being responsible in their own work and scoring. The good thing about this, though, is that these scores have no impact on their grades. They're not really motivated to cheat in this process. Number one, because they will lose certain privileges if they do. And number two, because it has no grade value. The only thing that does have a grade value is after 2 weeks, they finish the PACE and then take the test. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see an older student reading to younger students and helping the younger students review. You also see this at the table. So it's also part of the maturity and responsibility of the students to be able to help the younger ones. So with that in mind, let's go to BLESS. And BLESS is the ESL component to the individualized learning curriculum. The kindergarten level, that's pre-first level, the kindergarten level is not as individualized because the younger students who are 5 or 6 years old have not developed the maturity in order to do their own work, set their own goals, and score their own work. So in the kindergarten classroom, it is more of a classroom. However, it's broken up into reading rounds and smaller groups where you have the supervisor and then you have monitors over small groups called reading groups or reading rounds. So the mission of BLESS, which is the ESL component of A.C.E. School of Tomorrow's curriculum, the mission of BLESS is to reach impoverished boys and girls for the gospel of Jesus Christ, instructing them in biblical life principles and English reading skills. And so there is a spiritual component to this. There's still character building built into it as well. And the reading skills, though, don't just focus on English, but also math as well. So BLESS is operated by nonprofit churches and Christian schools that volunteer their time and their resources for ESL learning and teaching. It was launched about 20 years ago and has English and math components as well. It's a 15-week program, and it's based on the kindergarten curricula from the A.C.E. School of Tomorrow. and it's for children who are in primary school. Specifically, they like to focus on orphans and those who could not otherwise afford any kind of education. So it's pretty organized with complete volunteer training manual and an operations training, as well as training in how to budget and market the program. The manual includes worksheets on, it includes a lot of things on how to find information on local communities, and also as well how to get the support of the local community. And so if different people have contributions into this program, then it makes it more of a community-led event, and the community feels like they have a responsibility in this. And so it's very much focused on getting community involvement before anything else. Again, parent orientation, community surveys, and weekly fellowships show just how strongly they feel about getting the community involved. So the host would be a school or a church. The coordinator would be a trained volunteer. And the coordinator does all of the back end work, while the master reading instructor leads the team of reading instructors that help the students. And when I say reading instructor, I don't just mean that the students are practicing reading, but they're practicing reading as well as math and character building texts. The reading readiness test, it is the instructions are given in the first language, but the test is given in English, of course, and it determines which kindergarten program they're going to be put into. A.C.E. School of Tomorrow has 2 levels of kindergarten. They have an upper and a lower. The lower is called kindergarten with A.C.E. and Christie, and the upper is called ABCs with Ace and Christie. There's a post-test after this to make sure that they have mastered the 35 phonetic sounds in English. And so this is a very heavily focused on phonics. So again, the lower level is called kindergarten and the upper level is called ABCs. In the picture, I have some examples of what they learn. They have a progress chart, and they have some multimedia, and they have printed materials, and they have instructional guides as well on different activities. So all the activities for the instructor, for the supervisor is already spelled out in detail. They use phonics, so they use the diacritical marks, such as the smiley face on top of the A, as well as the irises, the dots, and all these phonetic diacritical marks. They use these so that the students can recognize different sounds. They learn how to write. They learn how to write in print, and that's uppercase and lowercase. Now, when they get older, if they continue in the A.C.E. curriculum, they will learn how to write in cursive, something that a lot of schools in America don't teach anymore, but they do. So the curricula are not based on the intelligence of the student or the academic success or the age of the student. But at the kindergarten level, it's based on physical maturity, being able to use their hands and their eyes in conjunction. My son, he's 4 years old, and he's taken the diagnostic test, the pre-test. The pre-test he took, they tested which hand was his dominant hand, which eye was his dominant eye, and which foot was his dominant foot by doing different physical activities. They also tested his ability to be independent by seeing if he could button up his own shirt, snap his own pants, tie his own shoes, and do a variety of different things. So the ESL curricula uses the kindergarten level of the A.C.E. School Tomorrow, what they have. The first vocabulary they learn at this level is vocabulary for instruction, for facilitation, so that the supervisor can give them appropriate instructions for the games, activities, and also for doing the paces. They sing songs, they play ESL games. The pace work, the little booklets, at this level, at the kindergarten level, the pace work involves coloring. It involves different printed activities that require intricate hand movement, windmills and different shapes like that, and also introduces basic vocabulary to them as they color and do these activities on paper. They also have time in the reading rounds where the supervisors will get them into different groups depending on their levels, and then do group reading with them. So I had one final video, but since there's no audio, I'll go ahead and skip it. And I'll probably figure out how to do the audio in a moment, but I'd like to know if there are any questions. I'll look at the chat and see if there are any questions. And if there's not, I do have some other stuff that I can contribute regarding what A.C.E. does.
Right. Thank you very much for your inspiring presentation on the PLAS program, Jonathan. So this is the floor is open for questions, Q&A, guys. So let me read from the chat box. So I see here. So Jonathan, when you were still in Vietnam, did you see any PLAS program here in Ho Chi Minh City or in Vietnam that you got to know?
Any what program?
The PLAS, the BLESS program.
No, I didn't know about it until I started working for this organization 5 months ago.
That's the question from Dr. Mas.
However, there are several learning centers in Vietnam that use the A.C.E. School Tomorrow curriculum.
All right, thank you. Questions, the floor is open, guys. So if you have any questions about the A.C.E. or the BLESS program, please go ahead. Okay, while we are waiting for some questions from the participants, may I ask you a question, Jonathan? One more question then.
Go ahead.
So I can see that with the continuous innovations in the way we teach and learn, the PLAS or the A.C.E. program very much emphasize on the individualized education And at the same time, I guess we can use technology to leverage the learner self-paced education. So do you think that we can use like in some way we can use the A.C.E curriculum and approach for those who are non-native English speakers to master the language?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of work putting together a curriculum, and A.C.E has this is their fourth edition, so they've had four different editions in the past 50 years, where they're updating their texts and their approach, but the way that they're teaching not only English through stories, but through reading stories, they're teaching also math, Bible for the spiritual aspect, and also for the character traits for the social aspect. And so all these stories incorporate these skills. And so when kindergartens, first level, second level, when they're reading these stories, they're learning how to do math in the story. They're learning these character traits as well. And so it's something that is for everyone.
All right, thank you. And I just got some more questions from the chat box. I just read it out loud then. One from Maxim. I don't know whether I spelled the name correctly. Does it have solutions for multilinguistics environments? My 4-year-old daughter speaks Vietnamese, English, and French, but none of them well and mixes them up. Any solution for that problem, as you can see from the chat box?
Well, it's only an English program. It's not anything for any other language. It's an English program. And so I'm not sure what it would have for other languages, but they do have a distance education department where if you want to homeschool your children in their curriculum, you have the ability to do that. And so they have an umbrella school called Lighthouse Academy, and they provide things like Rosetta Stone subscriptions, and distance education helps for homeschooling parents. And I'm not sure how. Of course, you can apply these same principles to learning any language, but so if you can go probably find a PACE online. I'm not sure how much of one you can find, but I know that you can probably find a sample online, and then you can see how you could make this in a different language and then apply the principles in the PACE to form your own curriculum in your own language.
All right, thank you. Due to the interest of time, I still see some more questions, but may I just ask, pick the last one. All right, let me just go ahead and read it out loud then. Is it possible to apply PLAS at both public and private school in Vietnam? Do you think it works?
Not public school, because it's a religious oriented curriculum. And there's no way to get around that because it's built into the curriculum. However, in private school, where the kids and the parents who are of that religious orientation, maybe Catholic or Christian, if they want to do that, that's fine. There are actually learning centers in Vietnam, and you can discover where they are by calling 800-925-7777 in the US. So
all right, thank you. And perhaps one last question as well. So from Bảo Ngọc, can you recommend some books that explain the terms we should know in the Bible?
There are many Bible dictionaries. There are even online Bible dictionaries. So just go to Bing or Google and type in Bible dictionary.
All right. Once again, thank you very much for your inspiring presentation, Jonathan. I guess so, guys. If you are more interested in the PLAS program or the ACE program, please contact Jonathan with the email provided there. Once again, thank you.